She never saw it coming. Linslade, Bedfordshire. A small store. A quiet evening. A woman alone. Her name was Carol Morgan. She was 36 years old, a devoted mother of two. That night, she was murdered, hacked to death with a heavy blade inside her own shop. This was not a random act of violence. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing stolen. Just pure, deliberate rage. And what if I told you? It took more than 40 years to uncover the truth. What if I told you the person responsible didn't even get their hands dirty? What if I told you that for 4 decades, someone lived free, married, smiled in family photos, slept soundly while Carol lay buried? Welcome to Romance and Blood TV, the place where love stories take dark turns and betrayal spills more than hearts. After 25 years deep in the world of crime storytelling, let me be honest with you, this case kept me awake more nights than I can count. Because this isn't just a murder. It's a blueprint of how love, greed, and silence can orchestrate evil. Let's go back to who Carol Morgan really was. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. She ran a modest corner shop with her husband, Alan Morgan. They were known in the neighborhood. 2 kids. A marriage that, from the outside, looked solid, but behind closed doors, Carol was growing suspicious, distant, tired. Alan had changed, and then there was Margaret Spooner. She wasn't just a friend. She was Alan's mistress. They were already involved, and Carol, well, she wasn't supposed to know. Alan didn't want a divorce. It would cost too much. There was insurance money on the line. And so, a plan was born. A dark, unforgivable plan. Thursday evening. Alan takes the kids to the cinema. Carol stays back to close the shop. That's when it happened. Someone we still don't know who walked into that store and ended her life with a blade. She was found around 11:30 p.m. It wasn't clean. It wasn't quick. It was brutal. And just like that, Carol Morgan was gone. Alan was questioned. He claimed he had taken the kids to the movies and he had witnesses. Margaret said she was home. No one saw anything. No fingerprints. No murder weapon. Case closed. But let's ask the real question. Who benefits from Carol's death? Alan gets his freedom. Margaret gets the man. They get married. Move on. Start over. Meanwhile, Carol's children grow up without their mother. Her murder becomes just another file in a dusty cold case cabinet. For 37 years, nothing happened. Until 2018, a new team takes over the case, Bedfordshire Major Crime Unit. They take a fresh look. This time, not just at the how, but the why. They question Alan again, older now, grayer, but still slick. Then something extraordinary happens. In 2021, a woman named Jane Bunting comes forward. She was only 17 at the time of Carol's murder. Back then, she was at a pub and overheard a conversation that never left her mind. Alan, laughing with Margaret. A joke, a comment, but it didn't feel like a joke to Jane. "I want Carol dead," Alan had said. He was serious. Jane felt it, but she was 17, too scared to speak. So she buried it, until the cold case came back into the news. She couldn't stay silent anymore. Her testimony reopened the entire case. Detectives re-interviewed Alan. This time, they knew what they were looking for. The cracks in his story, the inconsistencies, the motive. In 2023, both Alan Morgan and Margaret were arrested for conspiracy to murder. Let that sink in. Over 40 years after Carol's death, her husband and the woman he left her for were finally in handcuffs. The trial lasted 9 weeks. Jane took the stand, told the courtroom what she heard that night in the pub. The jury listened. The prosecution laid out the affair, the motive, the setup. Margaret denied everything, claimed innocence, said she didn't remember the conversation, said Alan would never say that. But Alan, The jury didn't believe him. In June 2024, Alan Morgan was found guilty of conspiracy to murder his wife. He was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 22 years. Margaret was cleared. She walked free. But here's the catch. Alan didn't kill Carol himself. So who did? To this day, that part of the puzzle remains unsolved. Investigators believe he hired someone, a hitman, a friend, maybe even someone from Margaret's circle, but Alan refuses to name them. The real killer is still out there. Let that sit with you. Carol Morgan lost her life. Her children lost their mother. And we may never know who actually held the blade, but because one woman, Jane Bunting, chose to speak up, the man who orchestrated it all will die behind bars. Let this be a reminder. Time doesn't erase guilt. Justice doesn't forget. And the truth always finds a way out. If this story moved you, share it. Comment your thoughts below. Who do you think swung the blade? Could it have been someone else? Could Margaret have been more involved? Subscribe to Romance and Blood TV for stories like this, raw, real, unforgettable, because love is powerful, but sometimes blood is louder. Thank you for watching, and remember, the scariest stories are the ones that actually happened.